Hi, I am Alex of GameWorks here at Penny Arcade Con South 2016. I'm standing here in front of the Marble Mountain indie booth. So can you tell me your name and a little bit about what we're standing in front of here?
All right, I'm Chris. I'm probably the artist and level designer for Marble Mountain, or one of the level designers. Marble Mountain's really kind of inspired by Marble Madness, a game that we all played back in the 80s, you know, when we were kids, just loved it. And we decided when we were going to make our first game that we probably should make a game which reminiscent of our first games that we were playing when we were kids. But you know, it started taking on a much more adventure game sort of vibe. You're a little marble on this big adventure. You travel, you know, have a really big journey, lots of fun, all those kind of things that you imagine when you were a child.
So yeah, the first thing, obviously, that I noticed was that you have both a regular version and a VR version. Yeah. So at what point in developing the game did you kind of have the idea of like, this should be in VR? Was that the goal from the beginning? Like, when did that sort of come about?
It wasn't the goal from the beginning. We were starting with just a standard sort of, you know, 2D screen sort of style. And then what we're doing with VR breaks a lot of the VR rules. So we didn't do it. We didn't even think about really doing it. But we had a lot of VR gear. We were really interested in VR. And just for one day, we dropped it in, you know, dropped the SDK into the thing and actually tried it in VR. And we thought, this works. You know, yes, some people are queasy, but most people are fine with it. It's not a problem. So we decided that, you know, we should, you know, show this to everybody and let people know that you can do a third-person view. And, you know, you can do it in VR.
Yeah, I'd say it works pretty well. What new aspects do you think it brings to it? Like, what made you play it and be like, we need to do this along with just the 2D? Like, what other aspects do you feel like it brings to the table?
Well, it's like when you're watching television or something like that, you know how you just sort of get sucked into the television and you're not watching around the outside. It was like that, but it's so much more. Like, you're in there and you can, you know, just reach out and almost touch the marble. And when you're rolling around, it actually sort of gives you a lot more control as well because you've got that depth perception. And like it just seemed to fit quite nicely.
So I had a real like monkey ball feel from it. So the first two levels I played were pretty easy. Yeah. What kind of difficulty can people expect from this game?
Like they do get pretty tricky. Like even, you know, I've played the game a lot, and like, you know, I still die every now and again. So particularly off in the later levels where, you know, things start getting a little bit hectic time to time. So yeah, it does get trickier. But we started off nice and easy.
I was talking to your programmer earlier, and he was kind of talking about how there's no story, but you guys going to try to have like a theme to it and kind of like an adventure push. Yeah. Like, what made you decide to do that along with just it being a physics game?
Just because that's what we love. Like, I love playing, you know, my big story, the AAA titles and stuff like that. I like those games that have that sort of real cinematic feel, and I've tried to do, you know, that sort of. When I'm framing everything up, I try to frame that. And that's one of the other reasons why we take control of the camera away from the player, is because we want to frame everything right so it has that cinematic feel.
That's pretty great. So you told me earlier that you and your friends or your company, have been working on this for 2.5 years.
Yep, around about that.
So what's the development process for something like this like? Like what, like doing the physics engine, doing the level design, like you said, like what is kind of the process of that?
Well, the iteration, really. It's doing everything over and over again until you hone it down. Like, you pick one particular aspect that you're trying to refine, like the actual movement of the marble, and you just do until it feels good. You keep playing around with it, keep doing everything until it feels good. It's the same when I'm picking all the camera angles and stuff. You keep going through it again and again and again until you get that's the look I want to achieve.
So when can we expect this, and on what consoles?
All right, it's coming out in Q2. Early Q2. It'll be coming out on, this year. It'll be coming out on Windows, Mac and Linux for Oculus Rift and for the HTC Vive. Available on Steam. Other things to be announced at a later date.
All right, okay, cool. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Cool.
Coming out of it.
That's pretty ballsy.
Oh yeah.
That takes some courage to scrap all your earlier work.
Want to get into that, want to marry that shit, want to divorce that shit, I want to cry about how I've lost that shit, I want to get back with that shit, I want to...
There you go. You got it. All right. Is it framed well again? Look at places? Hasn't changed. Cool. All right.